It's unusual because this field would have been ploughed 10 years ago maybe, and it's starting to see fungus popping up. I know it's the year, but I can't remember seeing as much fungus as this year, especially on ground that's been cultivated recently.
So when was this last grazed?
Grazed, it must have been grazed in July time, end of July I think. We'll always set up, more or less the whole farm is divided into these 100-metre wide lanes. So we just put temporary wires throughout to join these two together. We always have a couple fences up ahead of them in case they break out of a fence, which can happen. It's not much fun when you come out and there's a couple hundred cows everywhere. And they're looking at you thinking, what's the problem? I'm not moving. Well, we've been grazing the silage bales off in these lanes, just like this, so you've been moving them every day and back fencing them, and that works quite well. There's a mineral drum there with rock salt in it, so this is a Kiwi Tech water trough. Just watch out. So that waters a big group of cattle pretty well. And that's the mineral I was talking about, it just dribbles out. That gets filled every couple of days, that. But the problem is when we start going high up, the water pressure isn't so good, so they have to come back to this 50mm pipe. This is all the way through the farm, this 50mm pipe, but it's buried in most places, but there's still a break here, still needing buried. And that's about what we do.
How would they get their water?
They come back to this, yeah. Well, the problem is we can go another 50 yards that way with the water trough, but any further there's not the water pressure because it feeds out of a spring on the...
How do you move the water trough?
We just disconnect it and move it with a quad bike. And drag.
A longer pipe on it?
Yeah. There's usually a 100-metre length of pipe to the 25mm pipe. Well, it's different in these fields because those two were reseeded. Or the two on the left were reseeded. So they won't get fed where the bales have made, but what I've been doing is more or less silage in a lane in a field and then just feeding the bales out where they were made. But there's actually better spread between, if you make silage and spread it between 3 times the area of land that it's made on, so there's not that many silage bales in one area. And you just graze them behind a wire. Well, I started with one group of, it was actually fattening steers. It was actually in a lower ground field, and it just kind of divided it up with temporary wire, and I'd read about it and I thought I'd give it a go. And nothing was perfect, but I realised the potential in it, and then it was I just started, I think it was maybe over 3 years I started running. There would probably be 4 groups of cows and calves through the summer, and you try and do each group on some kind of rotation, but it wouldn't work because they'd always be coming, and then SEPA needed us to, well, it was actually not a bad thing, SEPA wanted us to fence off all the water courses because we're in the Tay catchment, and they were very hard on the Tay catchment to try and prevent pollution. And then we laid this big 50mm water pipe, tapped it into a spring, and then that was probably one of the catalysts as well, that we just went to far fewer groups on the farm. And then it seemed far easier to manage. The cows were in here, it used to be about a week ago on this patch. The grass is definitely coming back. I know it certainly won't get grazed till springtime, but it's amazing. A lot of folk claim grass stops growing about July or August, but it wants to keep growing if you treat it right.
And you're not worried about poaching and stuff that's happened there?
No. I know it's not ideal, but it's, as long as they're only on there for one day, it recovers. So
when were they taking off this?
A week ago. So the cattle, there's a wee few. They were over the barn, and certainly you can see we had wet weather there. and then they came this side of the barn, and then they came through that corner gate. They came up this lane, and then because we can't go round the back because of the water, they had to come down, start at the bottom of the lane again, and up that way. But it's amazing. I think even the grass on the farm, the sort of plant life on the farm's changed, but the wildlife's changed as well, to the point we get a lot of owls coming in now in the winter time. We see even short-ear owls in some of the low ground fields because there's so many voles usually in the grass. If you saw it wait another month or so, there'd be a lot of voles, and often every time you move the fence a kestrel appears, and it just land 30 yards away, fly up with a vole and disappear. But it's very hard to quantify. But I do think we're getting barn owls up at the farm now as well. I didn't ever used to get barn owls recently. It was only ever tawny owls.